Hello everybody, just a heads up, we recorded this episode before Super Blood Wolf Moon came out, so we won't be talking about it in this episode. However, if you want to hear our take on it, head on over to patreon.com/liveon4legs, and we have it there. If you're a subscriber, it should be up right away. If you're not, head on over and subscribe, and you should hear our take on the brand new song. And I will see you next week. I'm going to hand this one over to Jon and Buckley.
We had the Arley Warriors, the state champs, in the house. We had the Poverello Center. We had the Missoula Food Bank, who's done amazing things the last couple of years. They just built a beautiful new facility in town. That's amazing. The Vote Goats. Did anybody get to see the goats?
And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Jeff Ament. Mama Queen. Matt fucking Cameron in the truck. Mr. Boone Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello and welcome to Live on Four Legs, a definitive live Pearl Jam podcast. My name, again, not Randy Sobel. I'm Jon Farrar. With me today is Chris Buckley. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Jon. It's been a while, been a few months.
Yeah,
it's good to be back with you and Randy. Hope you're in. We're filling the void here for you this week, so nothing to worry about. We're taking care of business. We got you.
He'll be back next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't done one since I think that More Theater show.
Yeah, it was the More Theater show.
Cool.
It's been a while, so it's good to be back with you, bud.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the last show we did together was a '92 show, and this time we're going way forward in the future to 2018. Bit. And I want to mention real quick, this show was a request from one of our patrons, Dan Apollo. Thanks so much, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
If you're interested in doing what Dan did, requesting a show, you can go to patreon.com/liveonfourlegs. $1 a month will get you access to everything. We have exclusive episodes over there. We've done some of our de-evolution episodes where we just kind of have fun and joke around. We got to get you on one of those, Chris, sometime.
Yes, definitely.
And
for sure.
We got evolution episodes. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff when the tour starts about a month from now. So yeah, thanks, Dan. I wanted to mention I got a couple of notes from Dan here when we get to it. So thanks so much. And yeah, patreon.com/liveonfourlegs. So yeah, talk about the this Missoula show we're doing today a little bit. What was the vibe of this show?
Yeah, so clearly from the outset, it was controversial before and afterward for the poster, which everyone is, I'm sure, well aware of. If you're listening to this podcast, that means you're a pretty hardcore fan. You know that the poster designed. I mean, it's an Ames Bros, right? Was it Jeff? It was Jeff himself, right?
Yeah,
Didn't
I think
Jeff design it himself?
He took responsibility for it. He said it was all his idea.
So it's, I'll come back to that in a second. But anyway, it's a political benefit show, right, for Jon Tester, the Democrat in Montana. The show's in Missoula, Montana. They've played Missoula before. They've played benefit shows for Jon Tester in the past. And the band is doing what they do. They're being political. They're playing for a cause that they believe in, and it's at Washington Grizzly Stadium, home of the Montana Grizzlies. So obviously Washington Grizzly Stadium. There you go. Cool little setup. Like a football field. They can't sell all the seats around the sides of the stage because just the way that it's set up, you won't be able to see everything. But it seems like a pretty solid crowd. I feel like the mix in the bootleg for this show was solid. You could hear a lot of individual voices in the mix, if you notice that, which you don't really get that often, especially, you're playing like an arena show like the Garden or something like that. You're really, really hard pressed to make out individual people talking, but it's actually very easy to hear in this
you
mix.
You could hear them requesting one song that we'll
right, which exactly. So
I want to mention Dan mentioned something about the venue. He says it was his first trip to that stadium, and it was so cool just looking like, quote here, it was so cool just looking like the stage was carved into the side of a mountain, and the pre-show was kind of like a festival atmosphere. It was so awesome.
Yeah,
he says the Jeff set being Jeff from Big Sandy, which is just a little further out from Missoula, says it was amazing. The outpouring of love from his hometown friends and family was amazing. So thanks for sending us that, Dan.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to sum this up. Is this is the quote unquote Jeff show. It's through the set, the poster, the organization of the show, where it's located. All of this is just Jeff Ament.
His
Eddie,
parents were there.
His uncle, I believe, his sisters were there, or I think Eddie mentions that at some point. So he's got family there. It's just clearly, if Seattle is the homecoming, the Safeco show, and Randy and I went in depth ad nauseum on this in the second Seattle night show in 2018 of these home shows. This is the Jeff show. Like, if that's the Seattle homecoming show for the band as a whole, this is very, very much so the Jeff show. So we'll get into the set list a little bit and talk about just some pretty blatant examples where I have to imagine Eddie just was like, listen, you make the set, pretty much, keep it somewhat within our typical routine here, and let's not go too crazy, but there's some clear indicators in this set list where I have to imagine Jeff either made the set or Eddie made it with him, and they were like, what do you want to play? Like, what are your quote unquote your songs? A lot of heavy bass riffs or riffs that he came up with and things like that. So we'll go into that a little bit, but should we touch just on like tour excitement really quick? We'll kind of jump around a little bit really quickly before we come back to the show itself.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a busy month coming up. We're about a month away now from the tour starting in Toronto.
Exactly.
If the rumors are true, we'll be getting another new song here in a couple of days. Supposed to be Super Blood Wolf Moon, which I'm very excited. I cannot wait to find out what this thing sounds like. Yeah, exactly. all we know, we got a little insider who told us that supposedly it has a very nice mic solo at the end. So hopefully it's a little more classic Pearl Jam sound, but who knows what that even means anymore.
Right.
We mentioned the poster briefly, but this was a big controversy around this show. Like, this is probably the most controversial thing that Pearl Jam had been involved in since that Uniondale show when they played Bush Leaguer and everyone was like turning their back and flipping them off and throwing things. Like, this kind of took off in the current, like in the not current but the 2018 political climate. This got like kind of went viral a little bit.
It really did. And listen, I think a lot of people remember it pretty vividly because it was so much in the news. I don't think we need to rehash every little detail about it, but I mean, you had the president's son tweeting about it and Fox News tweeting about it and a number of different news publications, really, I guess, attacking the band, so to speak, for putting, a rotting corpse essentially being eaten by an eagle of the president on the poster. And as we said, Jeff Ament really took responsibility for the direction of the art, and he made a statement, and I'm trying to find it just so I can actually just get it on the record here.
If people are surprised at at this point what Pearl Jam believes, like, I always go back to that thing from the Storytellers where they get asked from the crowd, like some guy says, how do you feel about a lot of your fans having different political beliefs than you do? And he just goes, fuck them. That's what I always go back to. Like, and again, this is not for you. If you're gonna get triggered by a Pearl Jam poster in 2018, then you have other problems probably. They just kind of latched onto it as an excuse to be mock outrage. How dare they?
So the Jeff quote was, "The role of the artist is to make people think and feel, and the current administration has us thinking and feeling. I was the sole conceptualist of this poster, and I welcome all interpretations and discourse. Love from the First Amendment, Jeff Ament." So
yeah, see, that's all you have to say.
Yeah. So I just will say, this is my point. I have absolutely no problem. You can support whoever you want politically. If you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, more conservative, I'm not even going to get into a political point here. This is only my point. I'm making it strictly from a Pearl Jam fan perspective. When this happened, when this was unfolding, and I tend to gauge a lot of the the band climate among the fan base, I guess you would say, like in these Facebook groups. I don't really comment myself that often. I don't really post at all, but I read a lot of the comments just to kind of gauge what people how they're feeling, and whether it's something exciting like a tour announcement or the song or whatever. People love to complain, whatever. Back to this point. When this was unfolding, I mean, you had people that were claiming, whether they're lying or telling the truth, that they had been fans since the 90s and they've been going to shows forever, and they can't believe that they would do this, that they would put Donald Trump rotting on the poster, and how could they do such a thing? I'm done. I'm boycotting the band, blah, 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 blah. Like everything crazy. And people were fighting, saying, okay, we'll leave. But I have, like I said, no problem what you want to believe in politically. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to claim that you are a longtime, diehard, hardcore Pearl Jam fan since the beginning, and you're going to be outraged now that they've done something
it just means
blatantly political, you're not. Then you're not the kind of fan that you think you are. So a lot of people, and listen, I have people I know that are on both sides of the spectrum, and a lot of them are more conservative. They're able to separate. They could put the politics aside. And listen, I'm not saying you have to enjoy sitting there listening to Eddie rant at a show, going on a political rant. I'm not saying you have to believe what he's saying and agree with him. I have no problem if you want to disagree with that. I'm sure they would welcome that. Like Jeff says, I welcome all interpretations and discourse. But if you're gonna, try to claim that you've been a fan for this long and all of a sudden you're just not gonna listen to them anymore, like you're kidding yourself. I mean, come on, like let's be realistic here. And like I said, you just try to separate it. I think it was a little bit overboard. Maybe it's a little drastic, to do something like that. But was I shocked? No, absolutely not. I wasn't shocked at all.
I would say probably stay tuned, because if there's a leg 2 of this tour this fall, you can only imagine there's going to be some similar things going on.
Exactly. So this could really just be like a precursor to what we're going to get, in like on the spring, or if like a fall leg, or etc. But that's all I want to say. Like I'm not trying to. This is again not a political point. I'm not preaching. I'm not saying anything from the political side of things. We're a Pearl Jam podcast. We're Pearl Jam fans. I was very interested to see how people were reacting to this when it was happening. And that was just what rubbed me the wrong way. I just feel like just ignore it. I know, like I said, it is a little bit graphic. It might be, if you do feel like you're a Republican or a conservative and, you support Trump, it might be a little tough to look past it as some of the, rants that Eddie might go on during a show. It's a little more vivid, the imagery and such, but I just the outrage among some of the fan base seemed a little over the top to me. That's all I'm trying to say. So, I will not get into anything political here whatsoever again, but that's just my 2 cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the show is billed as Rock2Vote. So the point is to get voters registered. And I think that's been their official stance, is like, we don't care who you vote for, just vote.
Exactly.
So to get into the show a little bit, Ed comes out in the Evel Knievel jacket. I think he's a Montanan, if I remember correctly. Jeff is wearing a shirt from a band called Who Killed Society, like an old punk rock band from around there that he used to know. I appreciate that. So we start off with the only U.S. show appearance of this tour with Pendulum.
Can't know what's high till you've been falling off with nowhere to go. To and fro, the pendulum throws.
Which I have to imagine, again, and I just think this is going to be a common theme throughout the show, is that this is a Jeff-driven set list, and I think he wrote a lot of the music for Pendulum, did he not? I'm pretty sure he did.
So. Yeah.
So that's all they must have said. Listen, like, what do you want to open with? And he was like, yeah, let's do Pendulum. Like, we haven't done that. So I like Pendulum. You kind of. I feel like they really, really played it to death in 2013.
Oh yeah,
at a lot of shows.
2014, it opened like 90% of the shows.
I think a lot of people were kind of sick of it once you got to 2016. So it's cool. It sounded fine. I didn't have any problem with it. They stick with this.
It's cool. You get Mike with the bow playing. Eddie's doing a little bit of a growl here. Like, I thought it was a good version.
It was a solid version, and they stick with this theme that they went to in I guess they started doing this, what would you say, maybe like 2013, correct me if I'm wrong, but the double opener thing.
Yeah, in 2013 it really became the standard.
The standard thing, right?
Slow open, yeah.
Yeah, so they go with the Pendulum Lowlight opener here. No surprise being, Lowlight being the Jeff penned song, right, with the lyrics and everything. So with the lights or the sun going down around the stadium, and it's fitting the mood and being outside, and it just seems like it fits. It's very appropriate here.
I think I read something where the show started like an hour later than it was supposed to, but it was still light outside from some of the pictures I saw when it started.
And it's funny that you say that, because what I was going to say was that this very much had the vibe of the Fenway 2018 show, Night 1, where I looked at the when I put the bootleg on my phone, I like to look to see how long it is before I listen to it. And it said 2 hours and 41 minutes. And I said to myself, listen, for any band that's long, but for them, like, that's like pretty standard, like, that's not too long. Mm-hmm. It's not too short, it's not like 2:15, but it's certainly not 3 hours. It's not 3 hours and 20 minutes, whatever that Seattle show ended up being. So it's pretty much like right in the middle. But it seems very much, when you don't have an opener, like they're coming on late. And that's what happened at the Fenway Night 1 show, where we were like sitting there saying to ourselves, like, what is happening here? Like, where are they? And they came on like 50 to an hour after the ticket was listed, or, I think it was like they came on at like 8:50 or something like that, like 8:55, almost 9 o'clock. So when you don't have an opener, to me, that's kind of late. But anyway, like you said, it was still light out. So low light here in the 2-hole, I like. Right to Go. Go here. It's almost like when you open with Go, as they do sometimes, it's like Ed's voice is not totally warmed up yet, and it's a little like rough. His vocal performance is not always great, and this performance wasn't great either, but it was solid enough where it's like his voice has a little more time to kind of warm up, as they get into the show a little more. Where
he was holding that note at the end of Lowlight. He was ready.
Right. And then if you like, on the flip side, if you put Go at the end of the show, it's like he's gassed, and he has trouble singing it again. So this is a good spot to go for Go, to me.
Yeah, it kicks off this little set with Go, Do the Evolution, Arms Aloft, and Mind Your Manners. You get an early cover, and that's kind of always a sign that like something's up. Like this could be a cool night if you get a cover early on. They'll do that occasionally.
They also played Arms Aloft at Fenway, so there's another connection. It's it's a little, another little thing I'm just noticing here. But
and not the last Joe Strummer song that we'll hear.
That's right. We'll get to that, but I'm sure the big fan can probably figure out which song it already is going to be. But anyway, Evolution is solid. I felt like his voice in general took a little while to get going, but once he kind of gets into it, Ed, it kind of kicks in maybe around like Mind Your Manners, and then Corduroy is 7th. So like you said, it's Evolution, Arms Aloft, which has grown on me in time. I actually never used to really be a huge fan of that cover, but like especially when it came out on Live and 10 Legs, I was like, oof. It just didn't hit me. You know, I didn't click with me, but it has grown on me in time.
Those Mescaleros albums are really good. Like if people haven't checked them out, like if you were a fan of The Clash or anything like that, like they're a little different, but yeah, those all 3 Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros albums, which is what this song is taken from, they're all really good. Did you notice in Do the Evolution, he gives a little shout out? I think he sees that kid in the audience that comes. He says, "Hey, little one."
I guess he sees her.
Sends something out to her. Yeah.
Sure. So good little stretch. You know, like I said, they kind of turn it on its head. You know, going from Pendulum to Lowlight into this stretch here. I would actually even throw the 3 through 7 here. So Go, Evolution, Arms Aloft, Mind Your Manners, which was actually, this was a good version of Mind Your Manners. I actually liked it a lot. And then Corduroy, 7th. So, it's somewhere in here where they take the first break, right? It's like after Mind Your Manners or after Corduroy, one of those two.
Ed talks about when he was in this venue to see Paul McCartney, and they play a little bit of Blackbird. And they talks about the Rolling Stones. He gets everyone to play a different Stone song at the same time, which actually didn't sound that bad.
Let's everybody play a different Rolling Stone song all at the same time. I'm for.
It sounded like there was a Start Me Up in there, maybe like a Brown Sugar, but I couldn't pick out all 4 versions. But
pretty funny.
It says Pearl Jam's the only ones to play here twice, and talks about again the crowd size lies. If you're going to lie about your crowd size, which is a sly reference to the administration again, not the last one. Right. But yeah, then you get into Corduroy, you get that new version of Corduroy. He gets a little call and response. You get he pushes the crowd a little bit to see if they can hit that high note. That always cracks me up when you hear the crowd pushing themselves to hit that high note there.
Sketch you wonder. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
He's become the master of the call and response with the crowd. That's for sure. And
I think he uses it to gauge how the crowd is going to be.
It's also that, but I also feel like he's also gauging how his own voice feels sometimes. Probably. You know, trying to hit that note is not easy. And a lot of, like in the Corduroy, their Better Man, call and response, or Daughter, it gets way up there the way he does it. So it's almost like he's testing his own range. And you mentioned, the crowd size digging. This entire show, and we were talking about this before, yes, this, a lot of his are digs at the administration, but like just the language that he's using throughout the banter with the crowd and the stories he's telling and just everything, the encore breaks where he's talking to the crowd. It's like everything is political. Like everything is, collusion, this, and, bragging about this. And it's like, if you listen to the boot, it's pretty clear. Like they're in this mindset,
If you wish Pearl Jam was more political, then this is the
show for you.
Yeah. And exactly. They'll do even in a midterm year, they're still going all out with all the riffs and everything. We can only you can only guess what it's going to be like this fall when leg 2 comes around.
Absolutely.
So this next little set, you get a couple of rare songs. You get
this is again where the Jeff show is on full display.
You get Pilate, which is probably the rarest song that gets played here, besides like a couple in the encore, but Pilate, Even Flow, In My Tree, and Down, which is a cool little set here. So they make it through Pilate. He does mention how he fucked it up, but
he really did.
Sounded pretty good.
You took
I didn't mind it.
You took it out of my mouth. I was gonna say in the beginning the lyrics he just totally botches them so bad, and I feel, I mean, I don't know if, I'm just curious if you agree with this. As time goes by, you get more rarities. Like, they don't play a ton, so there's more old songs that they haven't played, and when they do bring them out, it's like, sometimes it almost feels like they're walking on eggshells with it. It's like they're, I don't know if hesitant is the word, or like just rusty, and it's like they haven't played it in a long time.
A little bit of rust, probably.
Yeah, and I guess it's natural. Obviously, they're not playing Pilate every night.
A little tentative, yeah.
And it's like you can hear that they've run it a little bit to, just so it's fresh in their mind, because they know they're going to play it. So maybe at sound check they ran it or something. But
right.
Even like in the performance, it's like a lot of like the little guitar licks and solos are kind of like wonky and not always perfect. And I'm not saying it has to be perfect, but I'm just saying I feel like, because there's another song that we're going to get to where this kind of comes into the same conversation, where they're playing a rarity and just I don't know, just doesn't have the same kind of punch that it used to,
right.
Which I guess is, again, just natural.
Even Pilot, a song, is 20 years old at this point.
Right. So I'm not trying to be picky. I'm honestly just curious. Like, am I the only one that hears that? Am I being too overly sensitive to it, or am I just going crazy? I don't know. If you listen, if you listen and just think about it.
When we did the Greenville episode, I mentioned when they got through Glorified G, Mike kind of pumped his fist a little bit, like, and I couldn't tell if it was like, we made it through the song without fucking up, like we got through the whole thing, or if it was like, hey, we're doing this versus thing. But yeah, I get the feeling that a lot of times they're just really focused on trying to make it through the song without screwing it up completely.
100%. 100. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. So just an interesting little observation. But so Pilate, Even Flow, and then In My Tree, which again, Jeff with the the crazy bass line. This I liked, and I thought In My Tree was in general a better performance than Pilate.
Yeah, definitely. And In My Tree is like one of my number 1, number 2 Pearl Jam songs. That's the one I haven't heard yet that I would love to hear. But
nice.
Anytime you get it, it's fantastic. I don't want to gloss over Even Flow either. Like the at the end, he lets the crowd take the last chorus, and it was fantastic. I thought they did a great job. That always kind of is a cool moment for the crowd too.
Let me hear you one more.
Because everyone in the building knows it. Everyone gets to scream along. And after In My Tree, he passes something back to a kid. I couldn't tell what it was. I don't think they mentioned it. I didn't think it was. It was a little early for a tambourine.
Yeah, but he doesn't say. I don't think he doesn't say it in the bootleg.
But
what it is.
He hands it out. He's like, he asks Keeley to turn the lights on, and hey, pass this back to her. And then he's like, he makes a little joke like, oh, I'm watching you. I don't trust you guys.
Yep.
Keep it on. So I think it does. There's a big little crowd roar when she actually gets it, whatever it is. So if she's out there listening, or if Dan, if you remember what that was, send us an email, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. So after this little set, you get Down, Lightning Bolt, Not For You, and Daughter. I think Not For You is great in this show. What'd you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. Down was solid. It was fine.
Yeah, another rare song. They're breaking out some rarities.
I feel like
here.
they've played Down a lot over really since like the Lightning Bolt tour. Maybe it's just the shows that I've been to. I feel like I've seen Down like 3 times already. since 2013,
Yeah,
which for a song like that is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good performance. Lightning Bolt, solid. And Not For You. Yeah, this is awesome. I feel like this was another song that maybe Jeff was like, yeah, you know what, let's play that.
But you got the power. There's so much to do. I still remember. Why don't you? Don't you? It's not for you. This is not for you. This is not for you. Yeah, it's not for you. My whole life looked like a picture on a sunny day. Oh, my whole life like a picture on a sunny day. Oh, my whole life looked like a picture on a sunny day. Oh, my whole life like a picture on a sunny day.
Sleater Kinney Modern Girl tag at the end.
It's fantastic.
Which is always awesome.
He changes the lyric to "You got the power, so much to do," which is again a reference to the voting, and any chance they get, the Ed's gonna make it about the politics and the theme of the evening. Then we get a
you said daughter, right?
Yeah, a really good daughter. Like It's Okay is a great tag. That's another one that's like really come into prominence, and they really made it their own. And I thought this version
it has
was great.
become much more common. You know, for years, I don't think they played it consistently at all, but now it seems to be almost the go-to tag for daughter now. It's like at least in the last few years. So
we'll see if it sticks around this year. If that
trend sticks.
Absolutely. This next song we get For the Big Sky, which they're of course in Big Sky country, plays Setting Forth, and kind of the two little opposites here. You get one for Big Sky and one for Big Sandy with Small Town. Right.
So I have to imagine, like, if you're at this show, and I'm sure Dan can attest to this or let us know if this was right, but like when they start playing Setting Forth, like looking around, and I'm not sure if the sun was still up at this point, I have no idea, but hopefully, like maybe it was like dusk, barely light out, and you're looking around at the crowd and everything around the stadium, and it's like Setting Forth, with Into the Wild and everything, and I just imagine, like, it just seems so appropriate to play.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? It just seems like a really cool song, which is very short, obviously, but this is the kind of song I'd be looking around during. I'd be like, I like to sometimes like observe, my surroundings, and I feel like I've been to so many outdoor shows at this point, but just to kind of look at the crowd and just kind of look up at the sky and just kind of soak it all in. This is like the perfect song to do that for. So that's really cool, and it's a cool little segue, like you said, into Elderly Woman, and another good performance. You get the whole, the Ed thing at the end with the oh way out, and thoughts they fade, and it's cool. You know, it's a good little tandem there. You know, leaning out of daughter into those two back to back. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then Ed talks about Election Day a little bit. You know, it doesn't get too specific, but again, they're there to support Jon Tester and to promote Rock2Vote, so you're going to get that a little bit. He talks about, I think he sees a couple who's wearing a shirt, something about sex and beer.
Speaking of, do you see these people right here? You caught my eye because, well, sex and beer catches my eye sometimes. But do you see these folks here? I heart sex and beer. And then she has one that says, I heart sex and beer. Now, there's also a lot of t-shirts from Planned Parenthood and lots of issues, so it's kind of a nice, refreshing, you know. But I'm so glad you found each other. Somebody give me a beer. Two. Now, I have to ask, though, were you actually wearing the shirts when you first met? Like, oh, it'd be such a romantic Shakespearean moment. I'm gonna give these to you. And I'll get to watch you enjoy them together. But that's all I want to see.
As always, you know, Ed the comedian trying to, you know, be funny and, you know, when he can, and it's a good little,
he's got the dad jokes.
Yeah, but that's a good little banter. Yeah, that's a good little
fun.
back and forth with the crowd and stuff. And from there, he goes into, I think, another little political thing for a second, just to something about voting, obviously, and that leads us into "Can't Deny Me" in the 19 hole.
Yeah.
Which
I didn't mind it, you know.
I didn't mind it either.
Yeah,
it's the kind of song.
This is a good version. Right.
It's the kind of song where, you know, I feel like a lot of people don't like it, which is fine. It's definitely not for everyone. I think when I first heard it, it didn't really, kind of similar to Dance of the Clairvoyants, where the first time I heard it, I was like, what? And then it grew on me over time. I mean, I definitely like Dance of the Clairvoyants more, but the point being, I don't hate it. You know, I liked when I saw it live. I saw it at Fenway, and it was cool. And it's the kind of song, it's just so hard to sing. You know, even at this point, like the way it's recorded. I mean, Ed's vocals are so high and up in the range, and like just really, really hard. Like his voice is cracking like on purpose, and that I feel like you're already a step behind when you're trying to play it live. You know, like if your recording is so high that your voice is cracking, to do it live in real time is going to make it that much harder. So it's really difficult for him to sing, but by the standards of the few other performances that there have been of the song to this point, it's like you said, it's solid. It's pretty good. Yeah, I have to say,
I think
enjoyed it.
It's been played 17 or 18 times.
Right.
So yeah, it popped up a lot on that European tour in 2018, and then a lot of these home shows as well.
Yep.
Home and away shows. So, and again, I think it's a much better song live than on the studio version. I think it translates a lot better. You get, you know, a lot of times he would bring out the chair, stand on the chair, do the whole cowbell thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's a cool. It would have been a cool moment to see, especially with a theme of the show being political and being about voting. You know that was going to pop up.
100%.
But we'll see. I mean, again, we'll see if it sticks around on this next tour, and I'll be curious to see. You know, you talked about, you know, how the recording his voice. I'll be curious to see how they recorded with this new producer, Josh Evans, to see if they recorded a lot of the songs live. If Dance of the Clairvoyants is kind of the exception to the way this album is going to be, if it's going to be more, the rest of it's going to be more kind of stripped down, or, you know, more kind of a live feel to it. We'll just have to wait and see.
We're going to find out. I have to imagine that Can't Deny Me won't completely go away. I don't think now there's more shows, you know, than these home and away shows. So
right.
There's more of an opportunity. And again, I know they played, what was it, South America, right? You know, before they did the home and away shows, they went down to South America, right, in 2018. So, but there's still more shows, to come. I have to imagine there's going to be a fall leg and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's going to completely go away, but I don't think they're going to play it as often as they did in the few shows they played in 2018. You know what I mean? Like it's not, it'll be there given the climate and the timing.
And everything's going to get more rare because they've got 12 more songs to work in now that they're going to be playing 6, 7, 8 of them every show. So
100%.
The uncommon songs are going to get a little more rare, and it's if you're chasing that one that you haven't heard from Yield or No Code, the chances get worse every year. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll see how many rare songs they actually break out. But we get the end of the main set here with Porch. What'd you think about Porch?
Yeah, it was good. He really, really like the yeah part leading into the last chorus. I mean,
and like we mentioned before, it appeared at every single show this year. So. They definitely knew what they were working with.
High up there for this performance. Like he was really trying to see how high he could go to get the crowd, to sing back with him. Like jarring, like in your ear when you're listening to it when he hits the high notes, like at the very end. It's pretty crazy. You should, like, if you want to if someone listening wants to look up the version and see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean,
maybe we'll play a little bit of it.
Yeah, and I don't remember what your stance is on Porch. Are you a fast or slow Porch guy?
I think it would be cool if they mix it up a little bit, and we've got actually an Evolution episode on Porch coming out probably tomorrow for our patrons, and I'm sure they'll talk about it a little bit. Randy and I think Bradley, one of our patrons, joined in on that one. But that I went back and looked. They started doing it, the slow Porch, actually back in '96 at the Bridge School, and I think it was something where Eddie was because there's the Who has My Generation. They kind of got sick of playing it, and they kind of changed it into a song called My Generation Blues, where it has that kind of like riffy intro a little bit. And
you change a song just to keep it fun for you as a band.
I think he was probably inspired by that, and so it became like you could almost call it Porch Blues, that little intro. But yeah, I mean I don't mind it. I kind of like when they do almost the stop and start version, which they would do occasionally. But yeah, I think if they would mix it up a little bit, I can imagine what the reaction would be if they just went into the old version of Porch.
That's what I'm saying.
People would freak the fuck out.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I would love that.
I don't mind slow Porch, but maybe sprinkle in fast Porch every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think a little balance is good.
If they're listening, we'll see if it pops up.
Come on, Ed.
So you mentioned at the beginning you could definitely hear some people in the crowd individually, and there's one or two people very loudly chanting for Dirty Frank at the beginning of this encore. Hopefully they made it to Fenway to get the little tease, but
I was there. It was not fun.
You get Jeff comes out with the acoustic guitar, and you know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be B-Girl. So we get this first little encore set with B-Girl, Fatal, and Imagine. I love this part of the set.
Yeah, this is cool. I love Fatal as a song. I think it's absolutely a really cool song. And this was the song I was referencing earlier when I was talking about Pilate, where I just think it's another example where they bring out one of these rarities, and this wasn't as rusty as Pilate felt to me.
It sounded really good.
Not a reprise that he arrived too late and too tethered away to put on his suit and his tie.
it sounded really solid, but a couple little parts where it sounded like some of the guitar parts were like a little unsure or like slightly off the beat of the song. But again, that's just me being a little picky. But yeah, really good, really good performance. Ed, it sounds good, and they definitely, for a song that they play so rarely, it was definitely a very good performance. And to me, probably one of the highlights of the show, at least as far as like set list wise, you know, song choice wise, it's got to be one of the highlights to me.
You know, and again, apologies to Randy, I didn't bring up the live footstep stats on it, but I think it's been played less than 10 times total. I want to say maybe 7 or 8.
I do. You can ask Randy. I use live footsteps every single time I go to the website. We're down temporarily. We'll be back with a major update. So I feel like I'm flying blind here. So that's why I'm like just looking at the set on the Pearl Jam website, and I feel so like lost here just looking at it. But yeah, they've only played it. Actually, I stand slightly corrected. You know, Live Footsteps gives you the more in-depth stats, but the Pearl Jam website does give you the number of times played and the first and last time. So they've played it 8 times.
Okay, so it wasn't too far off.
Yeah, and they hadn't played it. So they played it in Missoula, London 2. The London 2, the makeup show of 2018.
Yeah, we covered that one.
Once in 14, once in 13, once in 10, 06, and twice in 03. So it is. Wow. This is a serious rarity. Like, this is deep cut. And Ed says this is for the serious collector.
Oh yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard him say that about a song that's not Alone. That's usually the little speech you get before Alone.
This one's for the serious collector. Mm-hmm. It really is though. This was definitely one for it. But yeah, solid performance. And imagine, you know, I don't know, like he keeps going back to the Paul McCartney show that he saw there,
right?
And he goes, we've talked a lot about Paul's music and being here for the Paul McCartney show, but I feel like we should get a little bit of John's music in here as well. And he does the whole thing of, you know, let's see your phones. We got the phones. Please, you know, put the lights out, or put lights on and wave them around. The fireflies and everything. Mm-hmm. So cool. It's a cool thing they do. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of tired of it. I don't need to hear it anymore.
Oh yeah, it's made its way into sports and everything else. Like it's become kind of a cliche. Yeah.
Even like for them though, like I guess to them it's really cool, like to look at. But and listen, I don't mind the song. I think it's a nice song, and it's obviously, you know, one of the most famous songs of all time.
It's a classic, absolutely.
Of course, I'm not taking away from the song, but you know, from a Pearl Jam perspective, I'm like, okay, let's pick something else, you know. So I'd be fine, you know, not seeing Imagine again, you know, that's for sure. And I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but
I don't mind it at all. Again, I kind of trust them when it comes to the covers. They know what they're doing. They pick them for the moment and for the venues. So I don't have a problem with anything that they cover. You know, it would take. You know, I don't even mind Last Kiss. Like, we always get into it, but it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be something a little different. So yeah,
I think I'd probably take Imagine over Last Kiss, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But then, you know, in this little section too, you get Jeff actually comes out on the microphone and thanks a couple people. I think this is the part where his parents get to come out and do a little curtain call. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he gets on the phone and thanks a lot of people. It's really nice.
He gets his moment in the light, in the spotlight.
Definitely. And then we get into the end of the encore here with another cover song that I love, Throw Your Hatred Down, into Better Man, into Jeremy.
Well, don't forget Given to Fly.
Oh, Given to Fly.
Yeah, so it's Given to Fly. It kind of picks the energy
I was
back
so
up.
excited about Throw Your Hatred Down that I wanted to get to it right away. But yeah, Given to Fly is great.
Right, so they really pick the energy back up. And
that's usually the transition song that takes you from that slow part of the encore, and you know they're going to ratchet up the tempo a little bit after that.
100%, and it's a good little stretch here, really all adrenaline essentially to kind of end the show. Yeah, Given to Fly was solid. Throw Your Hatred Down, great cover. It sounded really, really good.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy that they still will break out a song from Mirrorball. Like, I would love to hear them bring back Act of Love, or you know, I'm the Ocean, which they tagged. We talked about that Auckland show a few weeks ago. But yeah, I'm so glad this hasn't been lost to just a footnote in their history.
Right. It's like this is so without what I've been saying, like with Pilate and Fatal to a certain degree, and any of these like rare songs that they'll pull out every now and then, like none of that here. This is really, really solid. All the parts are there. Mike shreds. It was just a really all-around, really good, solid performance. Like it would probably be one of the highlights of the show.
Oh, absolutely. They'd done it a few times this year too, so I think they were a little more warmed up on it than some of the other ones.
Yeah, still only played 12 times all time. So like crazy super rarities.
Yeah, and they didn't start doing it like they would do Act of Love occasionally, and I think Song X made a couple of appearances back in the 90s, but this one didn't pop up until a little more recently, I think.
I mean, you've got Pilate in here only 32 times. What did I say for Fatal? 8 times?
8, yeah.
And then Throw Your Hatred Down is only, what did I just say, 12? 12 times. I think
B-Girl's only at 8 or 9 as well, I think.
So you got some really, really deep cuts, in this one. So I guess 20, no, B-Girl's actually got 23.
Okay.
But still, that's still really low for how old it is. So if you're at this show, you actually have you got some things to brag about in this one. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then in a Better Man.
I want to mention Better Man, a fantastic version, almost 9 minutes.
Yep.
He dedicates it to Dallas and Michelle, so if they're out there, hopefully they enjoyed it.
Save it for later tag.
Oh, a couple of tags. Get a U2 with or without you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
A little Ramones, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. I thought this was fantastic. It is almost 9 minutes long.
You're right. I forgot about it because they only list the Save It for Later tag on the website. But you're 100% right. When he started doing the With or Without You tag, I was like, oh, that's a new one. I've never heard. I had never heard that before.
Yeah.
Has he ever done that before that you can recall?
I think so. I think it maybe just once or twice though. And they would do the Ramones, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. They did that a lot back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But that one it had been a while since that one too.
Yeah, so that's a really good little another thing, makes this show unique. I feel like it really is a unique show. Everything just from like the political part of it with, the poster, but also just it being, a show for Tester and trying to get everybody to vote and just like some of the song choices, and definitely a unique show. I'll definitely give it that,
Oh yeah, and I think the show's kind of up in that Pacific Northwest area that aren't Seattle, like we talked about the Gorge shows and Red Rocks and things like that. Those kind of always have a special like aura or vibe around them because like the setting is so unique with all you're up in the mountains and all that. I'm sure it was very special for the people that were there. I'm jealous I wasn't there.
Yeah, I feel like after listening to it, and I kind of said it before, I feel like when the show happened, no one really went crazy about it. I feel like more people were freaking out about the Seattle shows and the Wrigley shows and anticipating the Fenway shows, that and this was only one night, so it kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, and people weren't as vocal about it, and it was also like obviously more in the middle of nowhere, so it definitely feels like the kind of show that I wish I was at, you know, when I was done listening to it. And I know, you know, we have a couple more songs to go through, but I didn't really know what to expect when I first, you know, looked at the set list, and I was like, all right, like, we're gonna do this show, that's fine, you know, I'll listen to any show, obviously, but really just didn't know what to expect at all. Like, didn't know anything about the set outside of them having done B-Girl, pretty much. Like, I didn't remember much at all, and it's definitely the kind of show I wish I was at. You know, I'm really excited that they're gonna go back to the arenas now, but for these outdoor shows and that they've been so big on these stadium shows since, you know, 2013 on now, I really thought it was very, very unique in its own way, and the kind of show that I would have loved to have been at.
Yeah, another unique thing about this show is they don't break up into an encore two. They just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
And we get Jeremy and Know Your Rights here.
Mm-hmm. So Jeremy, obviously another Jeff song.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
it gets a huge response when he breaks out that opening bass line always.
Yep.
Did you notice, I think at the end, Ed wanted to go into that crowd participation part, but they just ended the song. I think he wanted to go into that extended version of it, but for some reason the rest of the band just went, nope, we're done.
Yeah. No, I did not notice that. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, they usually they'll do the extended, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. You know, that whole thing. But, yeah, I think this is, I think we'll have to get some feedback from Dan again, or anyone else that was there. Send us an email, like, let us know if you remember that. But then, yeah, Know Your Rights. You know, he talks again about the politics a little bit, getting out the vote, and, you know, making a point. I think this is where the Tester shirts came out.
Yep. This has been played 23 times. They played it in Missoula, obviously, this night. They played it in Missoula in 2012 when they played there for Jon Tester. You said in Atlanta. 2012. I saw it in Philly in 2012 when they played it at Made in America Festival. Right. They played it that night. They played it a number of times in 2003. I mean, shit ton of times in 2003. Right. Every other time they played it was in 2003. So it took a really long break from 2003 to 12 and now to 2018, and I would definitely imagine we're going to hear this once, if not twice, more times than that in the shows coming up this year.
Yeah,
so
if you're in the fantasy league,
I was about to say that's
a little tip for you.
This is going to definitely be one of my picks if I can get it for the covers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It was good. It was a good version.
The second Joe Strummer related song of the night, little Clash over here. You know, if that was Jeff's doing, then kudos, because I love the Clash, love Joe Strummer, so that was nice to hear. And this is kind of it's got kind of a different rhythm to it than a lot of their songs. You think it fits with these encore songs? You know, Better Man Jeremy, Know Your Rights. Like it stands out.
It definitely does. It
almost feels like it should be. It should switch places and be like an early set song. Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't really think about that.
I could even see this like opening up a set. That would be really cool.
Yeah, it almost feels like they could have taken an encore break after Jeremy, come back out, play.
Sure.
And then play this. So it's Know Your Rights, Alive, Rockin', and Indifference. Doesn't that seem like more them to do that? Like they would take a quick break.
Maybe it was a venue issue, because they didn't, even at the encore one, they didn't really, I don't think they even left the stage. It was very quick.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there was a time curfew issue where they were trying to be done by.
And again, they started late, so very possible. So, but under normal circumstances, you're 100% right. It's a little bit of a sticking out point here where, you know, you go for Better Man and Jeremy, and it's like all of a sudden, like, okay, Know Your Rights is there, where there's like no break, there's like nothing like smoothing that transition over, and then it's like Alive, Rockin', Indifference, like the typical trio of closers.
I'm not complaining at all about Pearl Jam playing a Clash song. Believe me, that's
I'm not either.
If they want to do a couple more, I've got some suggestions.
I'm just looking at it from the set list construction perspective, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's whatever. It's like I said, it was a really good performance. I thought Ed was really good. on it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and then Alive,
yeah,
Rockin',
you get
Indifference.
the bread and butter here. Yeah, Alive, Rockin', and Indifference.
I don't really have that much to add to it outside of pretty much the quick little points I made there a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think, what did you think about the drums on Indifference? We talked about that a little bit on the Greenville episode too. Matt's kind of doing that shuffle roll on the drums, like prr, prr.
Are you like it toward the end?
Just throughout the whole song.
Yeah.
He kind of has
Listen,
taken that
he's
on
definitely
as his little signature on
a
it.
different drummer than Dave A and Jack Irons and Dave Cruz and everybody that's been in this band. He is his own animal. Listen, he makes certain songs his own in his own way, and that's a good example. I like Indifference. I feel like it kind of, I don't know, it depends on the mood of the show sometimes, like when they pull it out.
I think it fits better in like you mentioned, the difference between the arena shows and the stadium shows. Mm-hmm. I think it fits in better at an arena show.
I agree with you.
Than at an open air.
Yep. Because everyone's just screaming it out back at him.
It would be really cool at something like the Gorge or like Red Rocks where it's kind of more intimate vibe, but it's something like this. I don't know. They probably did Ledbetter at both Seattle shows. I didn't go back and look, but it was probably just time for it to rotate in. But yeah, would have like a Bob O'Reilly or like a Ledbetter, or even another like a they've done Watchtower to end shows, and they've done a couple other different things along the way. It would have been something cool like that. But people love Indifference. It's a chance for people to sing along, and everybody screams along with Hold the Candle and all that stuff. So
it seems like another example I can imagine where Jeff maybe had input and said, let's close with Indifference tonight.
Sure. And they always go back and look at the previous set list and everything, and they might not have played it there in a while. People can go back and look. But yeah, let's that's our set, man. Just a quick main set and a quick encore one, and that was it.
Yeah, it's not too crazy by 2018 standards. It's not definitely, like I said, it's not a marathon. It's not too short. It's not too long. It's like right in the middle. It's just right lengthwise,
Well, let's talk about our top 3 moments. You mentioned a couple you were thinking about. Let's go through yours. What do you got?
I'm definitely gonna say Fatal is there. Fatal's got to be there. I really like B-Girl, and I would love to see it live. I'm just not gonna say that it's a top 3 moment for me. Like
having seen it twice, I can say it's very cool.
Okay, sure. I guess if I had been at the show, I would put it in there. But Fatal, I'll say Throw Your Hatred Down, because I think we certainly agree that it was a really good performance. Like one of the standout performances of the show by far. And third one, I don't know. Know Your Rights was cool. I wish Ed didn't mess up the lyrics and Pilate. I guess, I don't know. I guess Pilate. Maybe, can I just say like Pilate and In My Tree? Like sure. as a tandem, like that combo in the 8 and 10 holes, respectively. Getting those two Jeff songs. Like, I feel like those are like, besides Lowlight, those are like definitive Jeff songs, So
definitely, yeah.
And I guess that would be another.
Where, some nights or some shows are an Ed show, some shows are a Mike show. Some nights, this is definitely If Jeff is your favorite member, then you definitely want to pick up this bootleg.
Yeah, and I guess that would just be another just generic. I don't know if it's not one moment, but just one of the threads of the show, just being the quote unquote, like I said, the Jeff theme,
right?
Being for this show. So if you're a Jeff Ament guy, you're certainly in luck with this show. But like I said, I was pleasantly surprised listening to the boot because I had like no idea what to expect, and it was certainly solid. And the standout moments made it what it was. There's a lot of the run of the mill stuff in here that you're gonna get at every show, as expected. But the things that were different were what set it apart and really made me be like, what, I would definitely go back and listen, to some of these performances of these songs, like on a whim. So
cool. Well, I'm gonna see your Throw Your Hatred Down, and I'm gonna raise you a Throw Your Hatred Down on that's got to be one of my moments as well. Like, love Mirrorball, love the sound of it. Pearl Jam doing Crazy Horse. Like, the only note I wrote for it was fuck yeah. Like, that's one of the ones I'm gonna be looking for in this next tour. My number 2 is Not For You.
Okay, yeah.
Cool energy to it. I like the change in the line. I like the Sleater Kinney tag. One of my favorite songs that, it kind of gets lost in the, people talk about Vitalogy, you talk about Corduroy, and Last Exit and all the Better Man, all the classic songs on there, but Not For You is right up there. It definitely deserves to be played just as much as it was back then. And my number one, I'm going to say Better Man. Like, that's not one that I usually look to for being like a unique moment in a show, but yeah, getting a little bit of the U2, a little bit of Ramones, a little bit of Save It for Later, a 9-minute version of Better Man. How often are you going to get that? So
yeah, I think all very fair.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, like
true.
And they had really loosened up by this point. You're halfway through the encore. It's a perfect chance for him to it was the one time I thought in the show where they really let loose and they do a little bit in Porch, but you don't get a rear view mirror. Rockin' the Free World is not really extended that much. So I think Better Man is the one that I think that I really want to go back to. And if you're looking for a really good extended, energetic Better Man, I think this is a great choice. So that's my number one.
Awesome. I think it's a good point.
Yeah. So what do you got for a rating?
On the 10 scale? Yeah. I would give it, I'm going to say a 7, 6.5, 7.
Okay.
I'll say 6.5. I'll say 6.5.
Wow. Okay. Going all right. You want to justify that a little bit? Why did you go?
I don't know.
I
just
like
I said, outside of the, I can really pick the songs out that make me and that made me enjoy the show. I feel. A lot of it has to do with rarities. I feel like when I'm rating these shows and it's what were the moments where I'm like, oh my God, I would, kill to be there. I just feel like the Pilot, In My Tree, I've seen Not For You, B-Girl, Fatal, Throw Your Hatred Down. I've seen Know Your Rights. It's
Fatal again.
I know. Eighth time I've seen Fatal. I don't know. It just those song choices are really cool. Everything else is not mind blowing to me. I don't know. Okay. I might be coming off a little snobbish, but the more we do this, I feel like the more sets I see, and it's it raises my standards to a certain level depending on how I perceive different things in the set. And
all right.
Listen, 6.5 is fair. For them is still a really good show.
Well, I'm going to redeem this, and I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to say 9.5.
What?
I thought this was fantastic. I love the whole Jeff aspect of it. I love him as a bass player, as a artist in the band and everything. I thought it was really cool that he got a spotlight. There was a lot of crowd interaction that was really cool. Love getting Fatal and Throw Your Hatred Down, In My Tree, whenever that shows up, it's fantastic. Even some of the more common songs, I thought Pendulum and Lowlight was great at the beginning. Do the Evolution, Corduroy, Even Flow with the crowd taking the chorus at the end, so it sounded really good. Not For You and Daughter were really good.
Now I feel like I need to bump it up to a 7.
That's on you, but yeah, and Jon Tester ends up winning. It worked. So how can you give it anything less? So for me it's a 9.5. I think this is an underrated
I'll go
show
7.
from 2018.
I'll go 7. Now you made me feel bad. So I'll go 7.
We got him up there. People. So next time we get together, I'll give you a chance to redo it. But
okay.
This is I thought this was fantastic. You get these out of the way shows that turn into kind of gems. You get in 2014 it was Moline and Milwaukee. 2016 it was Greenville, and so they kind of have a knack for picking these out of the way spots and turning them into something special. So,
they definitely do.
It was great. Yeah, and thanks again to Dan Apollo from Patreon from suggesting the show. It was fantastic. I absolutely love listening to it. I never get sick of listening to Pearl Jam shows. They're all so different in their own way, which is why we do the show. So again, it's if you want to do what Dan did and suggest a show, it's patreon.com/live14legs. And only $1 a month will get you access to everything. We've got a lot coming up there in the next couple of months with a tour and everything, so check that out. Anything else you want to hit on, Chris?
No. I think you really touched on it. I'm really excited for the shows, and I'm planning on going to the Garden in Baltimore no matter what. I'm gonna be there. I don't care. I'm going. I'm getting in.
We'll be there. I'm sure you guys will be recording stuff. We'll be talking to people. So we got the fan exchange is up now. So people are going to be looking at that to do some wheeling and dealing on their tickets. So
100%.
make sure if you missed out, make sure you check that out. And yeah, you guys are going to do that. Did you get it? Are you going to any other ones? Did you end up doing a backup show somewhere?
I did not. I
Okay.
feel I think Baltimore is the other one that's feasible, being a Saturday night, and
you're still you're as of this recording, you're still trying to get into that Apollo Theater show that they announced.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not. I mean, listen, I will listen to Pearl Jam Radio when I can. I entered the contest online.
Okay.
I am not, expecting to be able to go to that one, unfortunately. I, would love to, obviously.
Well, we'll be able to listen to it regardless.
Yeah, we'll have, exactly. It's not going to be like a super top secret kind of thing. We'll all be able to tune in live, which is nice. And thanks to the people at Pearl Jam Radio for doing that one. That'll be really cool. And there's going to be a lot of cool covers at that one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Even, if they're releasing a statement saying we're playing the show in that mindset of all the people that have played at the Apollo Theater, they're going to pull some cool stuff out of their hat for that one. That's going to be really, really fun. But really looking forward to seeing everybody at these shows. And, I'm sure I'll be with Randy before the Garden Show at some point. I'm sure we'll be at the Wishlist Party or something. And right now Baltimore is my only other show, and hopefully we get the fall leg and they come back and hit the cities that they're not hitting.
They need
now,
they need to do another week long stint at the Garden to make up for all the people that didn't get tickets.
You're telling me, man.
But
it's brutal.
I do want to mention too. I'll be in Nashville and St. Louis. So if you're going to be there, send us an email. Let us know. I think we're doing a little podcast meetup with the ladies from The Porch and the Brads from Single Podcast Theory. I think we're going to be at a place called Pearl River the night before the show from 7:30 to 10:30. I think it's just a short walk from the venue. So I'll be there. If you want to come by and say hi, we'll talk about how the tour is going. We'll talk about the album. We'll talk about whatever you want. Anyone that I've threatened to fight can show up, and I will run away from you and cower like a little child. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll be excited to hang out with them and meet some of you guys. So if you're planning on going to Nashville or St. Louis, let us know. And Randy's going to be in St. Louis with me, so we're planning on doing something for that too. So yeah, getting excited about the tour, and I'm going to leave it to you to do Randy's little song part at the end.
Oh God, I don't even know if I can remember it. What is it? We may be here, but not much longer. I miss you already. Is that it?
I think you got it.
I just said it really, really badly. And not with nearly the same amount of emotion that Randy would. But is that what it is? We may be,
I think so, yeah. Miss you already, miss you
something
always.
about parting ways. We may be and though we may be parting ways, I miss you already.
You got
yeah.
it now.
Okay.
We finally,
and then
he's yelling at his phone right now.
He's definitely listening to this, and he's either laughing and or yelling, and probably both. But
so I think, before we leave, I want to mention next week. I think we'll be going back to the around the world. I believe we are doing a Japanese show next week, so that'll be cool as well.
Is that Japan 03?
Yeah, Japan 03.
Nice.
I believe it's Nagoya, which is the one that we're doing, which would be really cool. So yeah, until next time, we will for Chris and for me, John, we'll catch you when we see you. Thanks,
see
guys.
you later. Later.
Waiting, watching the clock as 4 o'clock has got to stop. Tell him, take no more. She practices her speech as he opens the door. She rolls over, pretends to sleep as he looks her over.
Dallas and Michelle, this is for you.
She lies and says she's in love with him. Can't find a better man.
You can't find that.
Dreams in color, she dreams in red. Can't find a better man. Can't find a better man. Can't find a better man. Hey, yeah. telling you with my everything. I'm telling it, I'm afraid to say it, I'm afraid to say it, but I think I need you. I think I need you. Please don't.